Alan Stubbs, gentlemen.
Everton and Bolton.
You remember him from?
That's the question you're going to ask, isn't it?
Yeah. This, for me, as a young lad, when you're first getting into football, Alan Stubbs at
Hero.
the centre. Sort of, I wouldn't say hero. I didn't have him on my shirt, but he was there, solid at the back. Nobody's really into defenders, are they?
No.
At that age.
I let myself down with Stubbs actually.
Why?
Because he came to Sunderland and I knew he was into his horse racing. And 2 days before the Grand National, I've asked him for who he fancied. He didn't reply. I'm still waiting.
So basically, you were like wanting to get into some sort of conversation with him. You thought,
No, I text him. Think, what's your tip for the Grand National? Bad. So yeah, let myself down, let my family down, let you guys down.
I didn't know you then.
He probably still doesn't know us now, to be honest. But
Red rum. I'd have just gone red rum.
But yes, give us his clubs, Chris, just a refresher.
Bolton, Celtic, Sunderland, Everton, Derby.
Well done.
Excellent work.
Thank you.
See, I didn't realise that did he go back to Everton? I thought it was just Everton the once, but he went back twice, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, he went Sunderland in between, didn't he? And
Yeah.
then popped back again.
Did you forget then, or was that a genuine?
No, I didn't realise that he had, but I did forget when I was saying that I didn't realise that I had.
I've just looked down again and checked. I can't remember either.
He left Sunderland and went back to Everton.
Mad how some of these clubs won't just give that another year contract. You know what I mean? Most players would like if they're in the last year of the contract, most will leave anyway, won't they? Go out on loan to play. But to lose a player for an extra year, who's done so
Stubborn.
well. Yeah, just
Stubborn Dave.
yeah.
Well, there's a bit of stubbornness there, and then going back. David Moyes asking him back, but we'll get into that.
Yeah,
Get
we
into
shall.
As always, gotta say it again. A massive thank you to O'Neills Sportswear for sponsoring not just this episode but the entire series. Links in the description if you want to get an Undr The Cosh kit. Also, your own team out with a kit.
What size are you these days?
Or medium.
Double X?
I'll always be double X. I'm
Not
going to go higher.
medium.
Probably will need higher, but I'm not going to stoop to it.
Yeah, I think 7XL they go up to. Don't know if you forgot.
No, I know exactly where they go up to.
Well, should we get Alan in?
Please.
Let's get him in. Bolton,
Alan Stubbs.
Everton legend, Celtic legend.
I wanted to start with, because I watched it last night, what were you thinking when Rod Stewart came in doing the draw? I was pissing myself last night.
I didn't know what to expect, if I'm being honest. I'd just done the Celtic game for Sky, and it was only a small room, and all the production staff were all this side, and they'd put this like little nice SFA desk type, not desk, but like a
Podium type thing.
Yeah, like a little podium. So it had obviously had the Scottish Cup there in the middle, and it had the SFA chairman in the middle, and I was there, and we were waiting for Rod to come in, and he's just come in the room and gone, "Afternoon," and I thought to myself, "Oh my God, he's had a few drinks here."
Did you tell he's pissed?
Oh, you could tell he'd had a few drinks, and the next minute, his manager followed him in. He couldn't walk. He literally couldn't walk. The manager.
He's more pissed than Rod.
He's more pissed than Rod. So he sat down on a chair by the door, and literally within 5 minutes, he's asleep like that, on this chair, while Rod's standing on his side of the podium now. You've got the SFA chairman who's absolutely shitting himself because he's thinking, I don't know where this is going to go, this.
Anything could happen.
And I'm here. So we did like a little pre-rehearsal for it. So I obviously got to see what he was going to do in the live. So the next minute, he's got his hand and he's going, number one, like that. And I thought, this is going to go fucking tits up, this. So anyway, we started, and does exactly the same.
So did they tell him, did anybody say like...
They were too scared to say anything.
Yeah, it's Rod, innit?
It's Rod Stewart. You know, they're not going to say, listen, Rod, do us a favour. Don't do that.
Leave it off, Rod.
They could have said, well, yeah, fucking do it yourself then, I'm going. And that's what he would have done. So anyway, he did it. It was one of the funniest things I've ever been part of live.
But having to keep a straight face.
Yeah, I'm tired, because I'm like, obviously, I'm not had a drink, but I could see how left field it was going. I could see all the Sky people thinking, please let's get through it. And obviously, and the fella in the SFA chairman in the middle, he just didn't know what to do.
It's lucky enough, you can't really fuck it up, can you? All you've got to do is pick one ball out and say the number.
I tried my best though, because I did say the number wrong. I did try my best. I'd like to say I got distracted. I got distracted by Rod. Yeah, but,
it's just how he goes. He goes again every time. Like you think he's done. He's got the effect.
Yeah,
and then it's next one.
Is it a bit like Ronald
Next
Emu?
one.
Where he's
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's like it's a big.
It's not just like a cravat on.
Is there any noises with it as well, or was it?
No, he went in silent, but he come out with a number one.
Yeah.
Fuck off,
Yeah,
Rod,
interesting. It's interesting. Interesting.
Striker growing up.
I was. To be honest, and all I was all right. To be honest, I wasn't big when I was young. At 8-9 years old, I was probably one of the smallest in the group, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I was leading goal scorer for a number of years, and then I quickly got to realise that was the slippery slope was coming, because then I got moved out to left wing, centre midfield, obviously centre back by mistake at Bolton. There was certainly no way I wasn't going to be that fat kid going in goal. You know, so that wasn't going to happen. You know, so I had to do something about it, and luckily enough, they asked me to play there one reserve game. It was Steve Carroll, who used to be the reserve team manager. I've done well to remember his name because I always forget his name. Put me in, did all right, and then, you know, just over a year later, it was when Phil Neal gave me my opportunities in the first team. So it all happened quite quickly, really.
You know, before that, how was it as a 12-year-old being an Everton fan and the team you've loved release you?
That was tough, I must admit. I thought that was the end. I thought the dream was over. I remember walking out to the old Everton training ground, Belfield, with my dad, and my dad was like, be all right, you'll get somewhere else. But obviously, as an Everton fan, walking out, you think that's it, it's over. You know, you don't obviously realise that the horizon out there's a lot more clubs. And I went home. A couple of days later, I got a knock on the door, and it was from a scout from Bolton. And I've got to be honest, I was like, Bolton? My dad didn't drive. I was going to get there. Didn't know an awful lot about Bolton. And he said, listen, we'll sort it all out. We've got a bus that leaves from Huyton. We've got a few lads who travel in from there. If you make your way and get yourself to Huyton, we'll get you in Tuesdays and Thursdays. And anyway, so it happened, and I must admit, it was probably one of the most enjoyable times as a young lad coming through. I loved it. Bolton was still a very old club in tradition, and even the stadium, Burnden Park, you know, was still very old, very close knit. Probably we had 2 or 3 ladies who worked in the staff, knew everybody on first name terms, and that was it. You know, Jean, Margaret were the main 2. And then as we started to get a relationship with them, because we were, you know, 29, 50 a week. We were an old YTS. And I used to bunk on the train from Kirkby to Bolton and stay in the toilet for 45 minutes. and that used to...
I do that regularly, to be fair. I'm actually shitting for most of it.
So the amount of times I was waiting for that, we know you're in there, you know, and that used to boost my wages up. I used to get me up to about, I think, 80, 90 pounds. And then some weeks it was like we used to go in on a Friday afternoon. We used to go up to the local arcade, spend some of our wages in the fruit machines, and then it was sometimes it was the walk of shame back down to Margaret in office. Margaret, you couldn't lend us 20 quid, could you, till next week? You know, that type of thing. And it was great. You know, I had some great memories, really good memories.
Do you know, living at home, did it keep you out of bother? As opposed to living in digs around Bolton and you getting involved with the lads?
You know what? I was quite lucky because I come from a rough area. You know, I was no silver spoon certainly in my mouth coming through. But I was quite strong-minded that I wasn't going to be influenced by anybody. I knew what I wanted to do. My mates were going out for drinks. They were hanging around corners. They were getting on the back of the buses, you know, with young girls. People could say I was fucking boring, but
to the words we've been talking about.
What else, Stubbsy?
But no,
enjoy yourself.
But exactly. But I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And you know, and listen, for me it was a small price to pay for what happened in the years after that.
Yeah.
You know, listen, when you've made it, you have plenty of time to party. You have plenty of time to drink. You know, you have plenty of time to see your mates. But at that time, you know, thankfully I made the right choices.
What was that upbringing like as a YTS at Bolton with your senior pros and get some stick?
I think it's wrong what the PFA and everything have done in terms of how the young lads coming through now. For me, having a first team player's boots to polish and clean was one of the best things I've ever done. It really was. I loved it. You know, I loved if I had little John Thomas as a winger as one of mine. If he scored the winning goal on a Saturday, I knew there was a good chance I was getting a little bonus on the Monday. You know, but it wasn't about that. You know, it was like, fucking hell, my pro has scored the winning goal.
Yeah.
You know, and I loved it. You know, I cleaned Bruce Rioch's car on a Friday afternoon. You know, Bruce would have us washing his car. We couldn't go until it was absolutely mint. If that doesn't build a bit of character, a bit of bonding amongst players, then nothing will. Now they don't do nothing, which is a shame. Yeah. I understand a little bit, but it's a real shame.
So you made your debut at 18 at centre half,
yeah,
for Bolton.
Yeah,
that's
mental.
Considering you signed as a striker 2 years.
Yeah. Listen, when I look back, probably leaving Everton was a blessing, because if I would have come through and just say, for instance, I would have got a pro at Everton, there was no guarantee that I was going to make it first team wise. I know you're probably saying you're playing with better players, but the fact of where Bolton were in terms of finances, younger players coming through the academies were getting more opportunities. If you were good enough, you'd be in. And I think that's what I think it's so difficult now for young players coming through, unless you are really top draw at any Premiership clubs. You're having to go down anyway, because they want instant. They're not prepared to wait 5 and 6 years for you to develop at whatever stage you want to develop. They need a player ready for the first team tomorrow. And that's why it's so difficult. And for me to go to Bolton, learn the ropes, train with seasoned pros, and then get an opportunity was just absolutely brilliant for me. You know, and then I started to do, you know, well. Name was starting to get noticed. And then the next minute, I found myself captain.
Who was the captain previous? Who took it off?
I don't know who took it off, but I would have had the likes of Phil Brown.
Did he love himself back then?
100%. 100%. I had Mark Seagraves, who'd come through Liverpool's academy, but was brilliant for me in terms of a little bit of experience and helping me, you know, when I needed it. We had Mark Winstanley, Jeff Thomas, obviously John McGinley, Owen Coyle, all guys who'd made good careers for themselves and, you know, were experienced, and suddenly you find yourself captain and trying to gain their respect as a young lad. You know, it was quite tough, but I must admit they were brilliant with me. We had a really good blend of some good young players. Alan Thompson was also there as well. He came after a little bit after us. But then if you mix Tony Kelly, midfield player, who was a brilliant midfield player, probably should have played higher. But, you know, talking of choices, Kells loved the bevy. You know, and the amount of times coming through when I was starting to drive, I'd give Kells a lifting. And more often than not, I was collecting Kells from a pub in Iton on a Monday morning, because he'd been on a bender all weekend. And that was, and he'd come in and he'd be shitting himself, Kells, because he was shit scared of Bruce Rioch. To be fair, most of us were. And Kells was like, I'm going to get weighed, because we used to get weighed every Monday. by Bruce, and if you were over, you had to, believe it or not, you had a fine, and you bought the pies. So it's a bit of a random one. So Kel's like, oh, I'm going to get fucking fined today. I'm going to get fined, and he used to be shitting himself. But therefore he'd go on the piss all weekend and wouldn't eat. As soon as we got weighed first thing, he was either as low as a snake's belly, or he was as high
over the moon
as a little kid in a sweet shop.
Get them pies in.
Pies are in, not on me.
You're short today, you fat cunt.
And to be fair, the pie shop across the road was something else. It was probably the best pie shop I've ever had anything from.
So had he gone all the way through the Sunday night?
Oh, he'd be on the piss after the game on a Saturday, Kels. He'd have a Saturday night, all days bending on a Sunday, and I'd pick him up from the pub on a Monday sometimes, or a house.
Some effort, that. That's fucking some effort.
Oh, he could drink, Kels. There's no doubt about that.
That's a risk, that, isn't it, from Rayok? Because no matter how good you are, it's big responsibility as a 19-year-old, isn't it? Look,
it is. But I think I wasn't afraid to tell anybody if they weren't doing it at 18 or 27, because ultimately all I wanted was the best for the team. So if it meant me saying something that I thought was in the best interest of the team, I would say it. And I think early on, when I did get the captaincy, if something would have happened in the game, say just say for instance we were losing at half time, I wouldn't have a problem calling someone else saying, listen, you've got to do better. You need to get your finger out. That was fucking not good enough.
And it was always received all right from them.
Yeah, listen, if someone gives me a bit back because they think they're right, that's fine. But ultimately, at the end of the day, criticism or constructed criticism should only be given out for one thing, and it's in the best interest of the team. It's not a personal thing. It's like, well, I don't like you. Like, you were shit today. Just because I don't like you. It's always about the team.
Who was entertainment manager?
John McGinley. Good entertainment.
Team bonding and...
Plenty of it. When I look at my clubs and I go through it, the ones I had the longest time were Bolton, Celtic and Everton. I had, a short stint at Sunderland. I had a short stint at Derby. I had 3 brilliant dressing rooms, I must admit. I had real characters. At Bolton, obviously the players I spoke about, but great dressing room. Always out together.
So at what point did you start drinking then? Not heavily, but...
Well, I was drinking at 19, 20. I wasn't like a young 16 on the piss. I don't know about when you started drinking.
I started about 13, 14.
Yeah.
That's why I never played for fucking Celtic and Everton.
You were a few years ahead of me. But it was then, listen, I met me wife when New Year's Eve, and I was bladdered. We were playing New Year's Day. I didn't get in till 5 o'clock in the morning. Not because I'd slept with her. I'm just in case Mandy's watching this. She came back to mine. I remember seeing my dad at the top of the stairs, and he was going, "What time do you call this? Got a game tomorrow." And obviously I've got my future wife in the living room. And I said, "Oh, I know, I'll be okay. Went to bed. I think I was 4 hours sleep. And man of the match. Should have drank a bit more, shouldn't I?
See, that's outrageous. Because I'd have never gone out New Year's Eve like that.
Yeah. No, and I think there was a few occasions under Bruce. I remember John a couple of times coming on a match day, and Bruce would just give you the look, and that was enough. But Bruce was like that. If you didn't do it for him, and he knew you'd been out. But if you didn't do it for him, he'd absolutely nail you.
In front of everybody?
100% in front of everybody. And he'd go through you in training. He'd lift you 6 foot in the air. And that was then. So God knows what he would have been like as a player. And I know he's got a reputation of being a real hard player when he played. He would absolutely nail you. There was a fear about him that I was lucky because he took me under his wing, and I was like he was like a father figure to me and Jason McAteer. We were the young ones, and he's seen that we were the future. He was a father figure to us, so we got away. We were the golden childs. You know, we could get away with a little bit, and he didn't really tend to come for us.
How bad was Aidan Davidson?
Yeah, interesting character. I loved Aidy. Aidy was a great lad. Really was. Some of the things he did, oh my God. I remember, I can't even repeat some of the...
You might have told we've had him on, haven't we? You might have told us.
He's dressed up a few times. I remember us going to stay in a hotel, and we were there on a Friday afternoon, and we got there quite handy, and some of the rooms were still getting cleaned. So they said, listen, do you mind giving us a bit of time? We should be all ready in an hour. We've gone out and we're playing cards. So little did we know, before he'd got in his room, there was a bag outside the room, and whoever had been in there previously, she'd left her underwear, stockings, the lot, high heels. So anyway, we're in there playing cards, and Aidy's disappeared into the bathroom. And the next minute, we're all in full flow, we're playing cards. You can hear this click of the high heels coming out of the bathroom, and Aidy's got the leggings on, high heels, thong, bra, everything. And he walks out, and we're like, oh my fucking God. You know, and the weird thing was that he enjoyed it. He enjoyed it.
I was going to say, looks all right.
He looked half right, you know.
Oh, yeah. He had a great pair of tits on him. No, but he actually did. I don't know about surprisingly, but he certainly did. He didn't exactly take them off very quickly.
Shuffle up.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable first few years introduction into professional football, really. 2 promotions, 3 years. League Cup final.
Yeah.
Captain walking out at Wembley.
Yeah. I didn't obviously realise this, but my friends used to always say, you know, that you do realise that I was the youngest captain to walk out at Wembley for a long time. But we at Bolton, we had a lot of success in a short space of time. It seemed to, under Bruce, more so when Bruce came in, we had a real upturn of, some good players, promotions. Obviously got to the League Cup final against Liverpool, but in terms of our promotions, we'd had a real quick rise and coming through. And then after that, we started to get a lot more recognition as more of a cup giant killing team. Beat Arsenal away at Highbury, beat Everton at Goodison.
Was that
that was
I'm
weird.
imagining all the
That
family in the crowd.
Yeah,
scored.
I must have had about 30 odd tickets for that game, and all blues, and to go to Everton was I thought I was never ever going to get the opportunity to play for Everton. I thought that ship had sailed, but to go there as a player for an opposition team, it was brilliant, and we fancied ourselves. I must admit, we fancied ourselves before the game. We thought we could get a result.
I know Jason spoke about it, but tell us the crack with Blackburn, because there was a 9 million fee agreed, and Jace said it was 7 million for him.
Yeah. That's
2 for you.
I'm surprised Jace never said it was 8 million for him. Jace being Jace. No, literally, we there was a lot of talk of us going that season. A lot of interest from, we were getting a lot of recognition because of obviously what we're doing, but because of the team and playing well as well. And the next minute, we got pulled in by the manager, and he said, listen, we've accepted the bid for 9 million from Blackburn. It's a joint bid. No one else is allowed to speak to you. That's why they're offering 9 million. So we'd gone along to the Haydock Thistle and met Kenny in one of the rooms, agreed everything, and we're walking out. And literally within 30 seconds of walking out, our agent's got a call, and he's gone. It's Bolton. I think it was the chairman at the time, and he said to him, "We've accepted the bid from Liverpool for 4.5 million. Jason's free to go and speak with them." So Jason's obviously looked at me and gone, you know, what do I do? And I've got to be honest, it was a very easy decision. I said, listen, you've got to go speak to them. It's your team. I would have expected him to do exactly the same if it was the other way around, and it was Everton for me. But unfortunately, I had to go back with my tail between my legs back to Bolton because we'd said our goodbyes the Saturday after one of the games.
That's awkward, isn't it?
You know, it was like the wave were off. You know,
Would everybody at Bolton sound with this? Fans and everything, they're all like...
No, I think because of the way it had all happened, and Bolton, you know, were going for promotion. They were trying to establish themselves in the Premier League. One of the reasons why I did want to leave in the end was only because when we did get promoted, I thought there was a real lack of ambition. Because, and I get it, do you go and spend all the money and you come back down, you've got nothing? But I just thought with a little bit more bollocks, and go for it a little bit, I thought we could have stayed up because I thought we had the potential that was there, but it just needed maybe another 3 or 4 additions to it.
You've proven that by beating the teams in the cup.
Yeah. And I thought, if you know, with that in mind, if they had a little bit more to them and wanted a bit more, then we could achieve something. And it wasn't coming. You know,
I feel like the club weren't matching your ambitions, really.
Yeah. And when I look at it and I go back and well, you're the one who's setting a big transfer fee on mine, but show a bit of ambition yourself in terms of trying to bring in much better players to give us a chance. All I wanted was a fighting chance. Because when we did go up, we didn't have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
So they're just like praying you finish 4th bottom.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's basically all it was. You know, and that was probably the main reason why I'd had conversations with the manager and the chairman. The chairman was brilliant with me. You know, he just said, listen, just give me one more season and we'll let you go. And I've gone, well, you know, you've got to show more ambition. You've got to, and I get it I get it now. You know, when you're older and you're wiser and you understand people's mindset in terms of the angle that they're looking from, the angle that you're looking from. I'm looking from a purely selfish point of view. He's looking from a best interest of the club point of view. So I get it.
Did Everton never come in for you while you were at Bolton?
Yeah, they did, yeah. I didn't know actually till about 3 or 4 years until after they retired. It was when Colin Todd was the manager. And...
McAteer told him not to say anything.
And I had this will kill me. I've forgot the manager's
Roy
name.
McFarlane.
No, this was at Everton. Big striker,
Joe Royal.
Sorry, Joe. Apologies. And Joe had rang Colin Todd. Listen, we want to take Stubbs. And Toddy said, listen, it's not going to happen. For whatever reason, it was not going to happen. And they got on really well. And I think Toddy's gone to Joe, listen, this can't get out. Otherwise, if it does, you know it's going to make it really awkward for me and bad for me. And to be fair, you know, obviously it didn't get out because I never knew about it until... Would
it have made it really awkward for him?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think when it's you know the way the players are, if more often than not, if a player really wants something and the other club is willing to pay what is acceptable, then players make things happen. But yeah, there was another one.
Before we move on,
there's a few that I nearly went to. I nearly went to Aston Villa.
Yeah.
So I signed for Celtic, and I wasn't really settling. We had the chairman at Celtic, Fergus McCann, who was just a numbers man. You know, not interested in football. He was fronting a consortium, and they bought Celtic, and he'd done a really good job, I must admit. Done a brilliant job transforming Celtic. And for some reason, on the spreadsheet, I was £6.5 million. And Villa had come in and offered £5.5 million. Agreed personal terms, everything. And Fergus McCann, no. Alan's value is £6.5 million. Unless it's £6.5 million, he's not going. And I'm thinking, okay, they're going to probably go to it. And in the end, Villa said, listen, the package that we've got the 5.5 plus your wages is all we can literally go to. And it fell away. Didn't happen.
Went for a run yesterday in my O'Neills shirt.
Did you get many
Beeps, whistles, beeps, whip-woos.
Wolf
honking.
whistles or-
Wolf whistle.
Now.
Chris, you're an attractive 40-year-old man.
I don't think it's me, I think it's the shirt.
Makes sense.
Well, we have to say a massive thank you to O'Neills Sportswear for sponsoring not just the episode, but the entire series once again.
Custom-made kits, 4 to 6 weeks designed to deliver.
If you've got a team, whether that's 11 aside, 5 aside, 8 aside, 6 aside, all the sides.
Minimum of 12.
Yep.
Maximum of, well, there is no maximum.
No.
They will clothe the whole of England if you order them.
The main selling point for me, though, is the quality of the kit. You know, you just, for the price, for the numbers that you're getting, for how quick you get it, designing your own kit, putting your own touch on it, you can, like we said before, I think you 1-0 up before you've even kicked off.
Disagree with us if you want, but I wouldn't hesitate in wearing that down the pub with a pair of jeans. Or playing 5-a-side.
Or running down Cholliney Road.
Very
Woo.
quickly.
So all you've got to do is follow the link in the description, or you can go to O'NeillsSportswear.com.
That is very good gear, by the way. It's
Good
probably
piece of
it's
kit.
probably the best that we've put his name to.
Unbelievable quality. Unbelievable quality.
Why did you struggle initially, and what was the turning
At
point?
Celtic, early on was probably one was my missus had 2 miscarriages early on, so there was a real difficult spell for her trying to settle. So like you're going to training, you're coming home, it's a tough situation, you know, and you were trying to do everything to try and get her to settle. This is where Tommy Burns was unbelievable. You know, Tommy was obviously a die-hard Celtic fan first and foremost, but a brilliant man. We were having chat and he said, how's things? I said, nah, not good. You know, Mandy's had second miscarriage, blah, blah. Following day, his wife was round at the house. Right, come on, we're going to go shopping. And she started to get her out, going shopping, going for coffees. And then next minute Celtic said, right, bring Mandy's mum up. She can come up, stay for a few days. So they started to do, you know, everything they could to try and make things
That's great.
happy. Yeah, really good. And that's
Just from nothing to do with football.
no, that's just the human side.
Yeah.
And that's where they were really good. Next minute, she starts to settle down a bit more, starts to enjoy it. Then she gets pregnant again. We just start to monitor it a bit more. And then everything then is fine. Happy off the pitch, you're happy on the pitch.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what ultimately started to do then.
And how long was that period before you did feel like you were settling in and...
It was probably not far off the first season.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it was a good 7-8 months. You know, so it wasn't easy. Even the price tag, you know, I was Celtic's record signing ever then. And coming from where it was, and this is by all means no disrespect to Bolton, but when you look at Bolton of where it was then compared to Celtic, they're two completely different animals.
Yeah.
You know, it was just the size of the club took me aback how actually big it was.
I was going to ask that because a few lads that have been on who played for Celtic have said, you know, you have an understanding of how big the club is, but until you actually arrive there.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, and it'll be the same for Rangers, I think when you sign for them clubs, you are submerged in them. You are part of, you know, you're really part of it. It's as if like they own you, because no matter where you go, it's either green or blue. You know, you either are loved or absolutely despised. I remember that my first Old Firm derby. To be honest, I shit myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't expect what happened.
You half like, all
Yeah,
right,
I know.
fucking hell, it's
Yeah,
another game
okay,
of
yeah,
football.
we've played. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I'm walking out the tunnel at Ibrox, and the next minute, all I was getting, fucking hope you die, you cunt, spitting at me on my shirt. All my shirt was covered in the back of the spit, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is this? You know, never expecting. Walked out. Probably once I crossed the white line, I probably felt a bit safer because I knew they couldn't get at me. And then we were doing the warm-up, and like none of the lads are going to get the ball. And I'm thinking, anyway, so obviously soft ass then goes over. And the next minute I've gone to pick the ball up, and this fucking fella's reached out, tried to fucking grab me and pull me in. And he's going, yeah, fucking cunt, I hope you die, yeah, this spit. And I'm like, whoa, fucking hell. And I've fucking quickly scarpered back onto the pitch. I'm looking at them all going, yeah, fucking know why you never went for the ball now.
The wall, all balls just ran, picking them up again.
So it was intimidating. On the flip side of that, right up where the best atmosphere I've ever witnessed in my life.
How did you get on that first game? Can you remember?
No, that probably means we lost. No, it probably, well, to be honest, that season when I signed, Rangers were the dominant team. You know, they had Rangers were the better team when I was there. You know, when you look at their squads, they had an unbelievable squad.
How many had they won in a row before you'd gone?
7. So they went 8, 9. No, sorry, they were on 8. They went 9, and we stopped them in the third season. They're doing 10. And you would have thought, well, it is the Holy Grail. They've all won titles. They're all similar in terms of cups. The one thing that they've never done is either of them have never won 10 in a row. That's the most unenjoyable season that I've ever had in football.
Your first one?
The 98 when we stopped Rangers. It was horrendous. It was horrible. Just
even
the
though
pressure. Even though we won,
yeah,
it was relief. It wasn't jubilation of winning. It was relief because we would have. It was the pressure of first and foremost being the first team to ever
concede the 10
in a row.
Yeah,
and then secondly, it was constant all the way through the season. So we didn't start off great. Rangers were leading, then we clawed it back, then we would be leading, then Rangers would lead, we would lead, and it was to and fro then all the way through until the last
pressure part
2 or 3 games. So it was just intense all the way through. You were 6 o'clock news, you were front page of the papers, you were back page of the papers constantly for the whole season. So it was horrible. But the one thing that what won us it, we had an unbelievable team spirit.
Yeah.
Our team spirit has won us it. We were out. We used to have a thing called smell the glove, and it meant absolutely fuck all. But everyone got obsessed with it. The press, everything. What, smell the glove? What's this? You know, and we managed to, you know, win one of the All Firm games that season, and we were like, smell the glove, and everyone was like, what's this? Smell the glove? Oh, smell. We had smell the glove T-shirts, and it just grew. Press didn't know what it was. They
didn't
were
mean
guessing
anything.
at it. Didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything. Absolutely nothing. We used to make sure every Tuesday we'd finish training, we'd all go out as a group together. We all went into Princess Square in Glasgow, and there was a restaurant downstairs called Il Pavone. It was a lovely Italian, and we used to go there every Tuesday, the whole squad. Well, eventually it was the whole squad, but we used to say to them, listen, we're going for something to eat. Come and have something to eat. If you don't want to carry on and have a drink, you can go home. But we're all eating
everyone
together.
together.
So we all went and ate. First time we did it, maybe 6 of us stayed. Following week, 8. Third week, 12. Fourth week, 24. By the end of it, by 6 weeks' time, we were all out.
All 24
all out,
every week.
All out every Tuesday, no matter what.
I bet you were loving it, Mario, when you were coming down.
Honestly, God, and we used to. It was brilliant. That was the sole reason. Obviously, we did well, but that was the sole, I would say, the main reason why we managed to stop
the
Rangers doing
galvanised
so.
squad.
Yeah.
What's your favourite Di Canio story?
Paolo was a larger-than-life character. The best foreign trainer I've ever come across. Incredible. Body immaculate. But, like, as you can imagine, hothead.
Intense.
Yeah, so we'd, like, train. And if he didn't think training was at the right standard, he'd be like, fucking hell, hey, wait. And we're like, Paolo, settle down. No, fuck, come on. So we'd go back, and anyway, we'd get training going. And he'd come in, and he wanted a bathrobe for Inders. And we were like, British lads, bathrobe? What, seriously?
Typical Paolo.
No, bathrobe, robe. And we were like, no. So anyway, we got him one. So then he's putting his bathrobe on. He used to always be in front of the mirror, and he'd come out the showers like an Adonis. He was ripped, bathrobe on, and he'd be brushing his hair like that, and he'd go, "My mother, she gave birth to a beautiful baby." And this is why he's like, he loved himself. But like we accepted it, we loved it. He's like, "My mother, she gave birth to a beautiful baby." We're like, "Fuck off, pal." And then, man, and then he started to learn us all the swear words in Italian and everything. But a great lad, brilliant. He loved his karaoke. Didn't really have karaoke until he come over and then got to know it. Would always invite everyone round to his house, karaoke, stuff like that. He's like, karaoke, as if it was the thing. But brilliant lad, honestly.
With the foreign lads, can you remember the ones who we've all been on Christmas do's or whatever, when there's a quiet lad in the dressing room when the first time you go for a drink, you just see a totally different animal?
Yeah, even at Bolton, Michael Brown was one of them, I thought. Little winger. He was really quiet. He was like flying machine for us. But then, as soon as you took him out on a drink, the eyes lit up. It was then birds, a lot, and he was away. And he was one of them. Definitely, he surprised me because I thought, he's really quiet, doesn't really say much. And then as soon as he got the whiff of the alcohol, fucking hell, stay out the way.
I mean, there's been a few over the years I've played with, come over never drunk, and then within fucking 6 months, they're fucking not far off alcoholics.
Yeah. That's it. I'm just thinking of at Everton. Did we have any at Everton? Not really. We just had ones who had a reputation. We had obviously Big Dunk. I got on well with Dunk. We'd have drinks in town and we'd go out. It's like I had my own little personal bodyguard because I knew no one was going to fuck about with us.
How hard was he?
Yeah, he was tough.
Was he, yeah?
Yeah, he was tough. He could handle himself. There's no doubt. It wasn't all a myth. Dunk would sometimes, even at training, he'd be on the pads and you could see, he knew what he was doing. Listen, I wouldn't get on the wrong side of Dunk. I remember playing for Bolton actually, and Gudny Bergson was my defensive partner that night, and he's give Gudny a terrible fucking elbow, I must admit. I'm obviously the other side, and he's gone up for the ball, and he's just hung there, and he's gone, and his arms for level, and he's just gone bang, and Gudny's nose was all over the place, and I was only young, then I'm walking across, and I've gone to Dunk. Fucking hell, you fucking mean that? You've gone, yeah, why?
Do you want one?
No, I'm just asking, that was all. Yeah, Dunk could handle himself.
Would you have been at the club the morning after, when he had the burglars?
Yeah, I was there. I lived across the road from Dunk. I was literally 50 yards away from him.
Right.
So I knew exactly the story. Because he had where Dunk's property was, he lived in the house on the side, but he had an old house that he wasn't living in. He had plans to do things with it. So we used to put stuff in there, use it as storage. So we obviously all his drink that he had. So I don't know whether it was Cristal champagne at the time, and he had that in cases there. So he had a routine every night. He'd go over to it, lock up at 10 o'clock-ish around that time. So it was this night he's walking across, and he's heard a noise. So then straight away he's said it's got me back up straight away. Thought, fucking hell, something's going on here. So as he's walking, he said he's just watched first. He said there's 3 lads. One was over the other side of the wall, and these 2 were doing the run with the drinks. One was passing to the other, and he was passing it, and he was going to go. So he said that as he's come round the corner, he said he's hit one, and he's sparked out on the floor, and he's gone inside, and the other one's come at him with a bottle and tried to hit him over the head with the bottle. He said he's just ducked, and he's given fucking legged up, and he's on the floor. And then he said, obviously, then he's rang the police, and the 2 of them are out, and he's got hold of them. The police have come, and he's told the police, listen, I've hit him once, and the cop has gone, right, so yeah, I got your story. So how many times was it you said you hit him? And Dunk went, I told you, I fucking hit him once. And Dunk thought the copper was trying to stitch him up. After that, the lad tried to fucking sue Duncan for it, and he got chucked in jail for it.
Fucking mad, that,
Yeah.
Can you imagine just turning round with your 2 bottles of Cristal
Yeah.
and then just seeing Duncan Ferguson and going, oh, fuck.
You can have them back.
At the top on that for you, Mr. Ferguson.
Me, K and O.
They haven't done the research there, have they?
No.
The lads.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No, you're saying you full team out in the city centre of Glasgow. Did you ever get much shit outside of that? And any examples of people going to players and whatever?
Yeah, we had a few. We had a few incidents with the players. We had a lad called Reggie Blinker, who was black Dutch winger for us. And unfortunately, Reggie, he'd had a bit of a tough time early on. And they started calling him Reggie Stinker. You know, so he was the easy target for the Rangers fans when we were out. And there's a few times where we'd have to basically jump in because one or two were trying to make a name for themselves, gone to target Reggie because he was the easy target. And we've had to step in, and there's, you know, bit of a scuffle. But thankfully, before it escalated into something big, a lot of the bouncers were either Celtic or Rangers. So you'd have them looking out for you in places, you know, all the time. So whenever we were in a nightclub or in a bar, we would end up having 2 or 3 bouncers or even more cordoning off around us, stopping people from coming in. Sounds it looks a bit embarrassing now, but if you wanted them to come in, you'd be like, yeah, come on, they're okay. You know,
Sopranos.
yeah, you know, and it's and when you look back, it's
Not good if you're single, is it?
Let's
Let him fucking in.
You know, and it's a little bit like X Factor. You know, yeah, you can come in. You know,
Sorry, love.
yeah. So
Chris Judge's house.
That's a no from me.
Yeah.
I tell you what, lads, there's nothing like Wednesday night in, couple of beers, watching Bromby versus Sickleborg.
I'm with you.
You know a couple of lads playing, don't you? Mm-hmm. So we got on the Danish league, got the VPN on, bounced it over. Perfect.
Sickleborg are a lot better team than what I thought.
I know. They've surprised me today. Well, if you didn't know, with NordVPN, you can bounce your location to anywhere in the world, and it's perfect for watching anything, but specifically sports. Like we've been abroad, bounce your location to the UK, get on your subscriptions, watch the match.
And as for the security, keeps all the passwords, bank details, everything under lock and key.
So I weren't aware that they could get on your shizzle. You know, when you're in an hotel or whatever.
Them hackers, when you're just using public Wi-Fi, hacking in, not with NordVPN.
Got to be careful.
Extra layer of security. And of course, we've got an offer. Links in the description.
This is the big dog.
4 months free.
How many?
4 months free subscription plus 30-day money-back guarantee.
Well, we can't say any better than that.
I'm honestly lost for words.
Yeah. Oh, yes! Ida Legerson. What a goal.
I don't know.
Ida Legerson. He
Beautiful.
just signed this summer.
Beautiful looking man and all. Beautiful.
What was your most memorable game in a Celtic shirt?
I had a few, I must admit. You know, winning cup finals obviously is always something you remember. But the one that I think Celtic fans will always remember me from was I scored the equaliser in the Old Firm game at Celtic Park in that 98 season. And Rangers had gone 1-0 up and we played well. We had a bit of a psychological barrier with Rangers. We were, in that season, in the games that we played them, we were the better team, but Rangers knew how to win. They'd done it, and then they did it with the players. They knew how to get across the line. We were creating chances for fun. They had Andy Gorham in goal, who was an outstanding goalkeeper. Some of the saves he made in some of the Old Firm games, I just don't know how he made them. 89th minute, I've got up the back post and I've headed it back across Andy Gorham into the far corner. 1-1, delirium. And the referee's whistle goes, but you know, like when you've got something out of a game and you actually think you've won the game, even though you've drawn it, psychologically for us, that was a massive turning point because we knew that we were good enough to beat Rangers. It just give us a huge lift. The fans inside were going fucking crazy, and the Rangers players walking off, you could see them slumped and you see the body language, and I think that was the moment that they thought, shit, we're in a battle here.
I'm testing your memory here, but can you remember what the crack was with the league table at that time? If they'd have beat you,
if they would have beat us, you're really testing me. They would have went, I think, at least 5 points clear.
Wow.
So it was a big thing. So for us and all, it kept us in touch.
yeah.
And after that, it was, as I said earlier, it was Rangers in the lead, us in the lead, Rangers in the lead, us in the lead, and it was like that all the way through then till the end.
How close to the end?
Oh, I think the third game.
You were asking some tricky ones.
I know. Third game before the end, it was nip and tuck, and then we went and we had to win our last game. So it went to the last game, but we were in lead from the third game.
Right, yeah.
I think towards the end, and then we won our last game. I think it was either Dunfermline or I think Dundee United, and then after that it was just like one of them. Oh, right, you can relax now. We've won it.
Yeah.
But as I said before, it was horrible season in terms of, even though we'd won, it was a horrible season.
On Larson, you played with him every day.
Yeah.
Where does he stand with players that you played against before and after in the Premier
Right
League?
up there.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I think if Henrik would have stayed at Celtic, you would have always had people say, "Well, he only done it in Scotland." But then he goes to obviously Barcelona, he goes to Man United, and he does well at both of them. And I think, and actually, in fact, he asked that question. I was speaking to someone last week, and I think it was Johan Mialbi, and Johan got asked the same question, and he said, before Henrik left, people in Sweden were asking the same things. Well, he's only doing it in Scotland. And it wasn't until he went to Barcelona and he went to Man United that people really respected and thought of him even higher. Henrik was an incredible player.
Was it his movement?
Everything. He could do everything. His movement was as good as what I've played with in terms of his movement. His heading ability was as good as what I've played with. And he scored with left foot, he scored with right foot, he was strong. I'd say Wayne is the pinnacle. Wayne's the best player I've ever seen in terms of played with. Henrik was just below, and I mean just below. That's how good he was.
Did that make you were better training against him?
100%. I was, because I look back on my career and I thought I was all right. I didn't think I was anything special. I thought I'd done well for what I was, and I'd had a decent career. But better players make you think differently. 100%. They make you. You start to question why they're doing things. You start to question why you're in that position. And me playing against like Henrik, me playing against Wayne. Wayne was just a freak. He was just a freak. 16 years old, and he was training. He's doing things that he just shouldn't do. He shouldn't even know. But they get you switched on all the time. I think with the higher quality of players you play against, physically you can compete. It's mentally where they challenge you, because they've got you for 100% switched on all the game. Because that split second you switch off, you're dead. It's a goal, back of the net. People say about strikers, who you play against. I was very fortunate. When I look back and I look at some of the strikers that I played against in the Premier League, I think it's the best strikers that's ever played in the Premier League. When you look back, you look at Van Nistelrooy, Drogba, Shearer, Owen, Van Nistelrooy, Fowler. I can keep going. Zola, Bergkamp, Ian Wright. Some incredible, and there's plenty more that I haven't named.
Which two of them would you not want to play against
As a partnership.
Yeah, like just two that you think he had my
Henry,
number.
sorry, I missed out Henry as well there.
He weren't bad, were he?
Yeah, he was all right, wasn't he? What it would be for me, Bergkamp plus another. Bergkamp's football brain was off the charts. You know, as intelligence goes, you got to go some way to come across a more intelligent player than Dennis Bergkamp. Sometimes you can negate pace, you can negate strength, because you can compete against strength. You can drop off against pace. When you've got intelligence, they drag you into areas where you don't want to go. Like Drogba, brilliant player, but I felt as if I can compete against them. And I felt as if I give Drogba one, he'd go missing for 10 or 15 minutes and then come back. But on his day, for me, I've never seen anyone physically jump as high as Drogba. When he wanted to play, I couldn't do anything about it in terms of beating him in the air, because his leap and his strength would just be too much. You know, he could jump more than you. Two of them, so it would be Bergkamp and... Can I have three?
Play
three, yeah.
Okay, so Bergkamp, Shearer, and Henry.
Yeah.
They would be the three. And I'm even Wayne out as well. What the hell?
You can play him behind, can't he?
Four.
Yeah. He can, the thing is with Wayne,
Any back forward struggle against him, bastard.
I could put Wayne anywhere because he could play anywhere. It was like Wayne loved going in goal. Before training, he used to come out, bag of balls, walk out, and then literally 10, 15 minutes before we were training, he'd go in goal. And he was like a cat. Plucking him out the top corner and everything. He loved it. You know, David Moyes didn't love it when he was there. He was like, "What the fuck are you doing? Get out of goal." I can't believe I left Wayne out.
We'll come on to that, but can you remember the time when you got the call from Everton?
Yeah. I just that season, I just got back from my second cancer scare. And I was out for the majority of the first part of the season.
How old were you?
I was when I was first diagnosed with testicular cancer, I was 28. My second one, we relapsed, I was 29.
Am I right in saying that it was detected after the cup final with your drugs
Yeah,
test?
it was a drug test. It was a urine sample. So I was producing a hormone which is normally found in pregnant women. When it's found in men, it's linked to cancer.
Right.
That's how they found it all. So that was the first one. The second one, I was just going. I was going for follow-up checks every month, and then I was getting scans every 3 months, and then it was 16 months later. And then you start to probably think a little bit. Doing okay, and you start to not worry about going for your scans. Your first few, you're shitting yourself, thinking it's got to come back again. Is it this and that? And so then you get into 16 months, you're thinking, you start to be a bit more relaxed going to them. And then had it, and I got a phone call at night about 7 o'clock from the guy reading the scans, and he was like, "Alan, listen, I'm really sorry." He said, "We found something on the scan, but we need to do more investigation." So anyway, went in, spoke to the surgeon. They'd spoken to a couple of other surgeons throughout the world in terms of how to deal with it, and they'd come up with like, "Listen, this is the process we're going to do. We're going to give you a course of chemotherapy, then we'll scan you, see if it's reacted or whether it's done anything. Then we'll give you chemotherapy again." And then we'll scan it again, and then we'll do that. We'll do it 4 times chemotherapy, and then we'll keep monitoring it. The 3 things where it'll either obliterate it, it'll slow it down, or it'll do nothing. So anyway, I've had that, gone out, had the scan, nothing really happening just yet. As I'm in the first time, there's a lad walking up and down the aisle outside the corridor, and he's looking in all the time. And this nurse has come and she says, "Alan, listen, I'm really sorry to bother you." She said, would you mind having a chat with this lad? He's a massive Celtic fan. You're his idol. I said, yeah. I said, he's really struggling at the moment. So I said, yes, when he's come in, having a chat with him. And he's great. He's good company. I've gone, listen, how's things? How are you getting on? He says, I'm struggling to come to terms with what I've got. I think I'm going to die. And I said, listen, you've got to stay positive. And I'd just read the Lance Armstrong book, which was obviously a load of bollocks now when I look back at it.
Cheating
so,
bastard.
Yeah, a fraud. So I've signed it. And like to him, best wishes, stick in there. So I've given it to him. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh, thank you very much. So anyway, so he's gone out and I've finished. Anyway, I've come back in for my next course, get set up and everything. And the nurse has come in and she's like just putting the last little needles into my veins and stuff. I said, how's Mike getting on it? You know, and she's like, I'm really sorry, but he passed away yesterday. And I was like, oh, fucking hell. And that was the first time that it dawned upon me that I could die.
Yeah.
I'd been probably not disrespectful, but I'd been a bit blasé about it because I was only, before I knew it, everything happened so fast in the first one.
Is that kind of a coping mechanism as well
Yeah,
at the same
I think
time?
so.
Just get through it again like I did last time.
Yeah, but I think the first one was a whirlwind because I'd got positive test, done a biopsy, had the operation, I was back playing. Second time. So anyway, that had happened and I thought, oh shit. And then, so I had my second course of chemotherapy, had a scan, and then they've gone, nice, now we're going to go and operate. But before I was getting operated on, the doctor was trying to give me an epidural for the pain relief. So obviously they were going to cut me from there all the way down. So my needle wanted to go in the back of my spine, here in the middle. As he's putting it in, it wouldn't go in. So he said, Alison, I'm really struggling to get it in. He said, your muscles too tight. He said, it's really difficult. He said, and we've got a time slot. He said, and I need to get you in. So anyway, he's put the needle in up towards the top of my spine. So my pain relief was from there upwards. So I had no pain relief. So I've had the operation, come out, and I was fucking in bits. I was like, nearly, the pain was excruciating. So they've wired me up to the morphine. So I'm trying to I'm like this, looking this with the morphine thing. Little did I know, I only get one shot every 15 minutes. Now I'm fucking like this, doing this. It's not working. And then the next minute, the nurses come. So the nurses come on. So they've given me painkillers. They've given me paracetamol, everything, trying to get it into my system to try and ease this pain. She said, Alan, listen, I'm really, really sorry. Just try and stick with it. We're trying to give you as much as we possibly can. And within an hour, the next minute, my body just went boom. It was numb. Couldn't move. Because all the painkillers had all started just to kick in. And because I'd had that much, my body just shut down.
Damn.
And like, obviously I could still feel the pain. But I was lying on the bed and I'm literally, the only thing was moving was my lips. I was talking like this. But my eyes, everything else, I couldn't feel a thing. Feet, legs, hands, toes. I was basically dead, more or less. And so I shit myself. So the nurse is coming and I've got, and like, she's got, and like, I'm trying to explain to her, like, what's going on? like fucking, like, what's it? Hello. So anyway, she's like said, listen, this is quite normal. She said, what's happened? We've obviously got it into you that much is that your body's just shut down. She said it will come back. It didn't feel like, and that was probably the first scariest moment because I thought I was paralyzed. I thought I was not going to play football again. Mm-hmm. So all these things then started to hit home a bit, in terms of how serious it was. And then obviously when I did the operation and that pain, I'm thinking, fuck, it must have been serious. But I'd had that, and the following day, funny story, I'm in there and I'm obviously lying there, and all my mates had come up from Liverpool, so they've got to the hospital and they've got to the nurse. Listen, we're up to see Alan, and my brother-in-law and my mates, best mates were there. He said, we've come to see him. She's gone, he's not well enough. I can't really let you in. And he's gone, but we've just drove all the way up from Liverpool. So she's gone, okay, listen, I'll give you 20 minutes, but please, like, I can't stress you, like, he's really poorly. Don't make him laugh, anything like that, because obviously the scar and stuff, she said it's healing, and we can't get movement. So anyway, they come in, next minute, one of my mates fucking cracking jokes. I'm there and I'm fucking trying not to fucking laugh, and this is fucking shaking. I'm going, ah! And anyway, so they're carrying on, chatting away, and I had fucking, as you can imagine, tubes coming out all over the place. And it was only like until like later on down the line that you find out, and they were like, fucking hell, we couldn't believe how bad you were. You know, how bad you looked. And at the time, you don't know. So as the nurses come in, it's gone, right, lads, she said, listen, I'm really, really sorry, but, you know, you need to go. You need to rest and, you know, get over the operation, and I need to ask you to leave. So they went, yeah, no problem. Thanks for letting us in and all that. So she's gone out the next minute. Obviously, I'm still lying there, not really moving much. My mate's fucking gone to his bag, pulled out a VHS video, stuck it in the thing, and it was a porno. Turned the volume up, fucking full blast. And as all you can hear is, and they're all running out laughing. And the nurse is coming in, and they go, what's going on? And she's looking at the screen, there's the porno on. And she's just gone like, oh my God. She's gone, and she's just saying, I'm on Scousers, fucking Scousers.
I'd like to ask her, is it working? Is it up or what?
So yeah, that obviously got my spirits up a little bit. And then
and your cock.
Yeah, that was still numb. That still wasn't functioning properly. And then literally it was all about trying to get out of there.
Did you know that at this point, pretty much straight after the operation was a success?
Yeah, more or less. The doctors had, the specialist who operated on me, it was his last operation. He was retiring. So it was a little bit of a, well, I don't know whether you could look at it as there's a high profile one. Or whether it was like,
I don't want this old cunt doing this. Fucking get me somebody a bit younger.
There's a reason why he's fucking retiring. But no, so he did it, and he came the following day, and he was like, listen, we're really happy with the way it's gone. We've, as far as we're aware, we've removed everything. We've took probably a little bit more, scraped a little bit more than what we normally would do. He said, I'm happy now to pass it over to the physios and Celtic and go from there. By the time I got out and got back playing again, it was probably 3 months. But even when I come back, I wasn't ready. But I was just desperate to play. You know,
It's now that, is it? 3
no,
months?
but my scar was still not healed. You know, so when I was training, if I was having any contact, I could still feel it. You know, moving. Not like, listen, I'm not trying to sound like I was looking a hero or anything like that, but it just wasn't properly healed. It was still stretching.
Can't imagine the physio's ever had to rehab that either, has he?
No, I don't. No, he hasn't. And he was great. Scotty was a brilliant physio. Really, really good physio. But yeah, listen, people look at it and go, how unlucky was you? It's the complete opposite. You know, I dodged 2 bullets. You know, and if I wasn't a footballer, I'd be dead, because I don't know whether I would have had the bravery or. I think as footballers, when we're there, we always get the best of advice. We always get the best of treatment. We're always getting tested. So that's why I say I was so lucky, because if I wasn't a footballer, I wouldn't have been getting chosen for a random drug test.
Yeah. Even
Even after that, I still wouldn't have been getting pushed to the front of queues to see specialists. I still wouldn't have, I got diagnosed on a Friday. I was in getting treatment on a Monday. People now having to wait 6 months.
Yeah.
So for people to turn around and say how unlucky was I, it couldn't be any further from the truth. If I was not a footballer, I would probably be dead. Simple as that.
Can you remember walking out at Celtic Park for the first time again?
My first game after coming back was actually at Easter Road.
Right.
Which seems ironic, now looking back. I was on the bench, and Martin O'Neill was the manager at the time, and Martin had put me on, and we were winning, I think 2-0 at the time, and he put me on, and as I'm about to get ready to come on, the whole of the stadium started to give me a standing ovation, which was like, what's the hell? It was like a bit of a lump in the throat, holding it back type of moment. It was as if like a lot of the emotion had just come to the fore only then. And I've come on, and fucking sod's law, I've only gone and scored, which just see, I didn't score as many as what I should have done throughout my career. I scored maybe 15 or something like that. But it just seemed quite a poignant moment, to come on there. I go back of my first managerial job. It's just weird the way sometimes life maps your road out. So that was my first one. Celtic Park was obviously incredible. The fans during it, after it, were incredible with me. Really were. To be fair, even Rangers fans were really good. I got so many cards, well wishes. I remember, which you don't see very often, the Rangers fans put a banner up in during one of their games saying "Get well soon, Alan Stubbs," which
rivalry's out the window.
Yeah, and I think it was great to see. But even when you look at how fierce them two clubs are and the rivalry between them, that there is a little bit of normality, through it all.
How old were you when you signed for Everton?
I was 31.
And you personally, did you feel like you had plenty in the tank?
Yeah, I did. I felt like I was coming into my prime.
Must have been a dream, though, when you get the phone call off your agent.
Yeah, I didn't think it was ever coming. I think when I got the phone call, I was actually with Paul Stretford at the time, and Paul's gone, "There's a club interested in the Northwest for you," and he said that thinking I'm going to say Everton, and I've gone, "Fuck off, Man United." And he's gone, "No, you stupid cunt." Someone else, and I'm straight, for some reason it didn't twig, and I've gone, "I don't know who." He's gone, "Everton." I've gone, "Fuck off." He's gone, no. He said, "We're going down to speak with Walter," and there was a big part of me, because of the way Celtic had been with me and the way they treated me and really supported me, was I didn't want to. I felt as if I was shitting on them a bit.
This is the ultimate fucking one, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you know, in West Ham,
yeah,
maybe different. This is the team that you supported from a boy.
I felt I owed them something. I felt I was obligated to do it. And Martin O'Neill was incredible with me. He really was. He's gone to me. He said, "Stubbsy, listen." He said, "Obviously I know Everton are interested." He said, "There's a contact there for you. Go and speak with Walter. Go and speak with Everton. If it's not what you want, I want you there. But I know obviously how much Everton means to you and what you've been through." He said, "These don't come around all the time." He said, "Let me say it in no uncertain terms." He said, "I want you to stay." But he said, go and speak. And when I spoke with Bolton, it was just too much of a difficult decision to turn down. I couldn't, it had got away from me once. I wasn't going to let it get away from me twice.
How quickly after Moyes took over did you realise how good he was and that he's were going to do well?
Well, when he first came, we'd obviously knew he'd done a good job at Preston. They'd been thereabout in terms of the playoffs and nearly getting in there and getting promoted. So he was an up and coming manager, but not one that you would say everybody's talking about.
We're like an exciting appointment.
But obviously when he come in, he was hungry. He had a real desire to prove to people that he was good. He set a stall out very early at Everton. And I think probably he realised that, no disrespect, he was coming from Preston where he was the dominant figure in that club. He controlled the players and the players did what he asked them to do. Dave's coming to Everton. There's some fucking big characters in that dressing room. you know, Big Dunk, Kevin Campbell, myself, Lee Carsley, you know, and more. And I think early on it was like, you do what I fucking say, or that's it. And we were like, yeah, okay, you know. But then I think very quickly you realise I need these lads on board.
No, only one or two to turn and not in bother.
You know, and he quickly realised he started to work with us and bring us on board and start to involve us and, you know, start to let you in on things. And then it always helps when you win your first game. And then, you know, you start to do a bit better than the first season. He pulled us away from the relegation spaces. Second season was better. Third season, back down again. We were a little bit yo-yo in the early years.
What happened that season? Because what could you put it down to anything? Because obviously riding high. I think did you finish third?
We'll think it was 2004. We finished fourth in the Champions League places. So that was after. I think that was in his third year.
And then 17th the year after.
Then the year after we just dropped again. And then I think it was after that year that he consistently started to then climb the table. So like we were more or less a team that was in and around 8th, 7th, 6th. We were starting to have a bit more consistency. The 2004 year, we'd had, obviously as we'd had a couple of yo-yos, our pre-seasons were horrendous. You know, David Moyes was the toughest pre-season you've ever come across.
Well, we both played for Alan Irvine, and I think his were very fucking similar.
Yes. and like, you know, David's measure of fitness was seeing players physically sick. That to him was, yeah, they're working hard. You know, and we were like, fucking hell. You know, we used to always go to St Andrews. That was part of our pre-season schedule. We'd go to America, but then we'd always have a St Andrews part of it, whether it was for 5 days, 7 days. And we used to have this, like, basically, that basic field. But it was, you know, like when you look at a field and you go, it's just a bit too long. You know, it's just out of my comfort zone. And then we used to have these runs, and it was probably about 120, 130 metres, and they were flat out, and you'd have 20 seconds to get back to the start, and you'd go again, and we'd do them. I think it was like something like 10 times, and they were torture. We had David Moyes' lad doing them with us once, and like he'd done 2, and like he was fucked. You know, he was 14, young kid, and Dave was like to him, fucking don't you embarrass me. You get back in that queue now. You know, like trying to like get a little bit of mental strength into him. And we were like, fucking hell, poor kid. You know, fucking poor kid.
That's fucking bullying that day.
And we were like to him, listen, and it's like, and his name is David. Dave, just leave it. You know, if you don't feel right, just leave it. And the gaffer's going, get in that fucking queue, right? You're ready to go. And we're like, just leave it.
I'll be on to Esther Hansen, mate, at fucking tail line.
So like, next we're back in the queue and we're going, and all you heard was like the fitness coach going, go! And honestly, God, next minute, it comes towards the end, and there's lads like spewing up, like on a side, and you can see the gaffer fucking buzzing, absolutely fucking buzzing, sick, you know, in a way to see like people like that, and then our fitness coach Dave, who was brilliant, Dave Billows, and he started to say to David, listen, you need to change, you know, the way we're doing training. You know, times are moving on. You know, there's sports science in this now, and like Dave was like really old school then, and he'd probably look back and say the same thing himself, and he'd be like going to Dave, yeah, all right, yeah, I've been doing this for years, I know exactly what it takes to get players fit. And Dave's going, well, yeah, but there's different ways. You know, you can work them hard, but give them rest, work hard, rest. And like rest to David Moyes was, you're having a fucking laugh, rest. You know, pre-season's there for run. You get fit, and that's it. Anyway, so this one season, he's give Dave a little bit of rope and going, all right then, go on, let's see what you can do. So Dave's doing this, and you can see the gaffer fucking biting his teeth, like, we are going, fucking, I'm allowing this, but I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it. I don't like this. And the next minute, anyway, started like doing training, and we were like all like, okay, yeah, buy into this, it's good. And then we're looking at all our results, and Dave's going to the gaffer. Look, so for what that running you've done there, we've done this running, and the stats are saying the same thing. You know, so it's, and the gaffer's going, nah, don't get that. Don't get that whatsoever.
Stubborn bastard.
You know, how can you do all that work and they've got the results and they've done less work? Well, that's what sports science is. It's all about, you know, doing certain types of training. And you could see, even though he was right, wasn't having it. Anyway, so we've had a really good season, pre-season. Gone to America, and we've come back, started the season all right, and then we just somehow started to win 1-0. Win 1-0. Win 1-0. I think that season we had the record for the most 1-0s in Everton's history at that time. Anyways, I think it was with about 2 games to go, or 3 games to go. It was a Sunday game. We'd already played on the Saturday. Sunday game, result went our way. Meant we qualified for in 4th place. And we were like, fucking can't believe it. Type of thing. Next minute, I got a phone call from the gaffer. Right, get yourself down to the Albert Dock. Get all the lads, this is on Sunday night, get all the lads down. We're going to have a drink, celebrate. Brilliant achievement, type of thing. So anyway, we've rang all the lads, right? We're all meeting up 7 o'clock at night tonight in the Blue Bar. See you all down there. So anyway, we've all met. As we've come in, Gaffer's bought all the champagne. We're all having a glass of champagne. He said to him, so I done the speech. I want to congratulate you all. You've had a brilliant season. It's some achievements in terms of ways of being, to be able to have done that with everything, you know, really proud of you. Go and enjoy your night. So, fucking happy days.
And could you not finish 3rd?
I'm not sure. I couldn't care less, to be honest. third was 4th for us. It was Champions League. So then we've obviously started drinking. Usual lads were out. We're at late night. I think me and Dunk were out latest, and we've come back in the morning. We've gone back out on the piss again. So gaffers give us more or less carte blanche. Listen, you've done your bit. So we've not even gone back out anyway. So we're travelling down on the Tuesday to go to Arsenal, and like I'm saying to Duncan, a few lads, I don't think I'm playing. I think he's going to rest a few, you know, and go that way. So anyway, names the team. So myself's on the bench, Dunk's on the bench, and he's rested a few and give a few of the lads a game. Arsenal at Highbury, thinking, fuck, I'll get in. Result. And we were feeling like shit anyway from a couple of days on the booze. So anyway, next minute, game's kicked off, 1-0. I'm looking at Dunk going, oh, no, it could be long like this, you know. And a 2-0, 3-0.
I think I can remember this.
4-0. Get in at half time. And I'm saying to Dunk, fucking hell, stay out the way. Don't let the gaffer catch you. Like, otherwise, you know, last thing you want to be going on here. So anyway, go back out, 5-0. The gaffer started to turn around, look on his bench. And I'm saying to Dunk, fucking do not catch his attention. So as he's turned around, I've gone like that and just starts to slide down the bench. He's looking to put subs and I'm like there and I'm going, Dunk, fucking slide out. So anyway, we've got back up and the gaffer's gone, Dunk, get yourself ready. And Dunk's turned to the gaffer and gone, you're having a fucking laugh. And the gaffer's turned around with the fucking big red eyes gone, get fucking warmed up now. And Dunk's gone, oh, for fuck's sake. He's got his top on. He's walked past the gaffer and he's walking down the touchline all the way to the corner, not doing anything in a hurry whatsoever. So I think it finished 7. It was either 7-0 or 7-1. I've come in and I've gone, fucking hell, here we go. Here we go. Gaffer's going to go off his head here. So he's come in. The gaffer's gone, you bunch of cunts. Fucking embarrassing. You've embarrassed me. You've embarrassed yourselves. You've embarrassed the fucking club. Fucking disgraceful. What's that say about fucking me? And I'm thinking, fucking hell, he's going to fucking ask us in a minute. I'm captain. And he's looking down and I'm fucking, my head's down. Don't want to catch his eye and he's gone, anyone got anything to just fucking say? And I'm fucking head down. And no one's saying it, no one's biting. And then the next minute he's gone, Stubbsy, anything? And I've gone, oh, fucking hell. Well, obviously, Gaff, it's not great, you know what I mean? You know, we've had a really good season. finish fourth. You know, we had a drink on Sunday. You've said to the lads, listen, go and enjoy yourselves. Don't worry about anything now. You know, you've had a fantastic achievement finishing fourth. You know, don't worry about the rest of the games. And he's looked at me and gone, you cunt. As if to say, like that's what he said. And he's gone, yeah, but that was fucking Sunday. It's fucking Wednesday now. That's gone out the fucking window. And I'm like, all right. I said, well, fucking hell, come on. Which one is it? You know, it's either, you know, well done or, and obviously I know it's shit, but fucking hell, you can't give and take in one hand and not the other. And he's gone, fuck off. All he is, fuck off. Get a shower. Come on, we'll go. and to be fair, afterwards he cooled down, but it's just one of the things. Like, obviously, it's never nice to fucking get beat that type of scoreline, you know. But
you know, you've got him when he goes,
yeah, exactly.
Fuck off.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Fuck off.
So listen, he calmed down a couple of days. You know, the day after, you know, he understood, and you know, we only had 2 games left, and we'd still ultimately overachieved, no matter what anyone said. It was, you know, we'd had a brilliant season, and that's when it all started to kick off a little bit then, because my contract was up the end of that season, and I was in negotiations, and the gaffers come to me and gone like, listen, like, want you to sign a new deal? And I'm like, yeah, great, no problem. And he's gone, right, what are we looking for? I said, well, I want a 2-year deal. And he's gone, well, you know, Stubbs, we're looking to change direction of what we're doing now with deals and stuff. You know, we don't really want to be offering more than a 1-year deal to anyone over 30 now. And I've gone, that's bollocks. I said, I've just played as many games as anybody. I feel as if I've played a big part in this season. Is that right? And he's gone, yeah, of course it is. I said, so what? I said, why not 2-year? Well, it's just the club and everything. I said, well, listen, I'm not signing them. And he's gone, oh, don't be like that. Come on, let's just get it sorted. And it wasn't no conversation about money. I was happy to sign on the same money and stuff like that. He's gone, come on, let's just get it done. And I went, no. I said, listen, it's a 2-year contract, or I'm not signing. So anyway, he rang me up 2 weeks later. I'm in the pictures with my missus. Just Phil's about to start. I said, listen, Gaff, I'll have to take it. So I've gone out. He's gone, Stubbs here, right, so we ready to sign that contract? I've gone, yeah, if it's a 2-year contract. And he went into the same thing. No, listen, I'm not doing that. I said, well, okay, I'm not signing. He went, come on, don't be staffed. Come on, you know it's best for both parties to do it. I said, it is. I said, but a 2-year contract. I said, Gaffer, I said, unfortunately, if you've not got anything to say else, then there's no point just talking. And that's when I went away, and then when I went to Sunderland then after that, Mick McCarthy came on. But it seems such a crap way to finish such a positive season, and you know the way it's all gone. But that's just what happens, and that ultimately, you know.
What did you sign at Sunderland?
A 1 year. I signed a 1 year because obviously it was getting close to the end of the season.
Yeah.
You know, so there wasn't a long time to go. I think it was a 1 year. I think it was, and obviously I think Mick was saying. And to be fair, there wasn't a huge amount of options in terms of anyone coming to the table at that time. And Mick had gone, listen, we can't really offer you more because we don't know whether we're going to be good enough to stay up. And anyway, I signed, and Sunderland was a really good club. I think the people there were really good. It just didn't work out for me.
We did have a few people ask about something happening in the box or something when we played Everton.
Yeah. It was. I've got. I was saying before. I've got a fan, a mate who's a big Sunderland fan who lives in Formby. When Sunderland played Everton, I wasn't playing that night. I was injured, but I had a box as you come out the tunnel towards the top left hand corner, and I had a few friends and family in the box for the game. Obviously, with them being Everton fans, and I'm up there, and Everton have scored, and all the box. In terms of obviously my wife, my best mate, his wife, his kids and stuff, all Everton fans, they've all jumped up. And the next minute, I start to read that online, and someone said, "Oh, that I was the one who jumped up," which I wasn't. You know, I listen, if it did, I think even now after it all happened, I would say if it did, because it wouldn't mean anything to me. But listen, that's what it is. You know, sometimes
Once a whisper gets
Yeah,
out,
exactly.
soon
It just
spreads, doesn't it?
festers and moves on very, very quickly.
It's mad, isn't it? 20 years ago, that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
some
still
people
remember.
were still
I know,
messaging about
it's
it.
crazy. And probably that was the only thing I was remembered for at Sunderland.
So how did the move to Everton come about then? Who's swallowing?
Everton didn't have a good start to the following season. They got knocked out of the Champions League playoffs. And then after that, they didn't start the season well. Had a really, really tough start. I got a phone call in late November, off Jimmy Lumsden, who was David Moyes, one of his assistants, and said, listen, want to come home? And that was literally how he said it. And then Mick, when I spoke with Mick McCarthy, he was, to be honest, comfortable with it. He said, listen, Stubbs, he said, things haven't worked out here. He said, we could do with getting you off the wage bill, if I'm being honest. He says, because it looks like we're going to be going down anyway. He said, so we might as well start planning for that now. And so it did. And then I went back to Everton and then...
2-year deal?
No, I went back to the end of the season. And then I was there for another 2 years after that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And the form as well, after you came back.
I know, it wasn't because of me. I'll take it if you're saying it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Lost 12 games out of 22 before you arrived.
Yeah.
You came back, only lost 4 and finished 11th. Only lost 4 in 16.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, people can always... I was a part of it. I don't think you can ever say it's down to one player.
Take it.
I'll take it. Obviously, I'll take it. but I think it was more of I think the thing about Everton was a team. I wouldn't have said we were a team. We were a club which had unbelievable individuals. We got results because of our team ethic, and I think that's what David Moyes was all about. And David was starting to, I think, really evolve as a manager then. I think he understood the club. He got Everton. His famous line about Everton being the people's club, was an unbelievable piece of PR. It really got under Liverpool fans' skin.
It is mad. 20 years, 25 years since he went there the first time. He's still doing an unbelievable job in it.
Test of time. He's one of the few British managers that's had the amount of games that he's done. You look at the amount of foreign influx in terms of managers. There's not been many British managers who've stayed at the top. Going into
your spell as a management, which manager that you played under did you take with you into your management?
Well, most from probably would be David. Probably, I had a manager at Celtic called Wim Jansen, who was the one that stopped 10, and he was my first, I would say, manager where he wasn't. I was introduced to a non-shouter. He was the calmest man ever, quietest man ever. Whereas when I was being brought up, I was brought up with effing and blinds and people getting up against the wall, things getting thrown. That British type of old school manager. I got Wim Jansen. He'd come in at half time and he'd just stand in the corner and go, let everyone talk. And then he would just come over and go, we must change our way of thinking. And that was, we must do this. We must look to improve this. And this is how he was talking. And we were all like, oh, what the fuck is this? But somehow it got us. We all responded to it. Rather than thinking of yes, the banging, the shouting, this calmness, was like, okay. What he was saying was absolutely spot on, but it was just a different way of putting it across. Just that reverse psychology in terms of, it's not always about banging the door down as hard as you can. There's different ways, as they say, to skin a cat. And he was my first introduction to that.
I remember Lambert loved him, didn't he?
Yeah, they loved him. Fans loved him. And we had some good players. We brought some good players as well.
So did you try and take that approach?
Yeah, I listen. Could I give a bollocking? Yeah, But I wanted to try and work with players rather than work against them. You know, I wanted to try and put my hand around people and try and encourage them to it's okay to make mistakes. But obviously that's easier said than done as well. You know, there's obviously a lot of pressure. You know, I respect in terms of David. Martin O'Neill was a fantastic manager as well. You know, weird, but nice weird. You know, Martin would completely walk past all of us here now, literally there. I remember in that same season when I was coming back, Martin would walk past me in the morning time, come in, didn't say a thing, just walked past me, bang, straight past me. I thought, shit, what have I done? What have I done? Fucking hell, there's something definitely. Blanked me, more or less. Literally, 3 minutes later, comes back and goes, Stubbsy, meaning to tell you for the last couple of months, that contract's sitting on my table for you to sign. I just haven't got round to it. That's what he was like. You know, and you're thinking, fucking hell, I've been like wanting to ask that question for ages. You know, and you just walk past that blase, oh, listen, it's been on my desk for the last couple of months, I forgot to say to you. Oh, fucking hell, thanks. You know, but players loved him.
I watched the video from when you won the cup final at Hibs.
Sunshine on Leaf.
Incredible. Unbelievable.
Is that when Davey scored?
Yeah, David
Gray.
Yeah. That was, it was, to be honest, we'd had a really good season. When I say that, you know, we'd ultimately failed our major target, and that was promotion. Our number one target was we really had to try and get out of the league. You know, Hibs, the size of the club they were, our budget was budgeted to get us out the league, and ultimately we failed. But we'd got to the, and this was obviously as a championship club, but we got to the League Cup final, which we lost 2-1 against Ross County, and you can say it sounds like sour grapes, but it wasn't. But we were by far the better team in the day. We made 2 individual mistakes and we got punished. And then we found ourselves up against Rangers in the Scottish Cup final, and we took the game to Rangers. And I actually, because I was that much involved in the game, I'd lost track at the time. I didn't actually realise how late in the game it was before we equalised. And obviously Dave's popped up with the winner, literally, you know, with minutes to go. And my last vivid moment of it was actually seeing Hendo run to the referee. And I remember, like, as if I could visibly see his lips and say, how long's left? And the referee turns to him and gone, that's it, I'm about to blow the whistle. And Endo, even though the game is still going on, Endo's just ran away to celebrate. So he's ran away to celebrate towards the fans. And I'm thinking, where's the fucking whistle? And literally 5 seconds later, he blows the whistle. And it's just then, it's pandemonium then after that. You know, I remember my assistant coming up to me, like hugging me. Then he just makes a beeline for the fans at the far end, and all the staff and everyone are all running on. And the next minute, not just them, but the fucking fans are on the pitch there, and it's just, it's great, but it's obviously crazy, you know. And obviously the scenes afterwards, yeah, I got pulled away very quickly from it because I got summons more or less to meetings with the match commander, who was well pissed off with what was going on. He was trying to get everything under control. And all I'm thinking about is, like, get them off the pitch and let's do our lap of honour type of thing. So, like, I've gone in and I said, like, well, listen, you know, once you get it under control, I said, you know, when can we go out for our lap of honour? And he's looked at me as if like I had 2 heads, and he's gone, you ain't doing a fucking lap of honour today. And I've gone, well, why not? Once you get under control. And he was obviously pissed off because things had just gone tits up for him. You know, he's lost control.
Yeah.
And, you know, if anything, I've got to be honest, they didn't envisage anything like that happening, and they got caught out. And obviously that happened, and then we didn't get to do a lap of honour. But the thing that we agreed on was that the fans, once they got pushed back, is that they would stay there with the police forces and everything. But then we would be able to go and get our medals, and then we could do Sunshine and Leith, but we'd have to stay at the side of the pitch on the halfway line. And that's obviously the way it all panned out.
That is on the back of your neck
It's
stuff
incredible.
when you watch that.
It's incredible. It was. I obviously think it's probably the best song anthem out there. Obviously, people are going to say, "You'll Never Walk Alone," Liverpool's, which I'm not fucking going to say that, and I can see why people would say that. But Sunshine on Leith is something else.
Yeah,
you just look stunned in the video. The footage of it.
It was like it's one of the one of the moments where you just look at something and you go, "Wow," it was brilliant, great day.
Just before we finish, we'll get lynched if we don't mention Tommy Gravesen.
and Wayne Rooney probably, but fucking hell.
There's a few. Well, Tommy was a larger than life character. Tommy came and he was first and foremost, he was a very, very talented player. Tommy would portray himself as a bit of a hard man. He wasn't a hard man, but he liked the perception of that. And he would always try and portray as if like, oh, that's, but that doesn't mean you're a hard man. Tommy was a great lad.
Nuts?
Oh, 100% nuts. I remember like one time we were in and Tommy didn't believe in saving any savings, anything. He was like, I might die tomorrow. I might get knocked down. What's the point of saving? That's the way he lived that's the way he wanted to live his life. So anyway, he come in one day and he'd come in in this fucking stunning Porsche 911 turbo, obviously flying machine. So he's come in, he's flew down the driveway at Belfield, parked it up, and he's gone, oh, you want to see it? And the noise out of it was incredible. So he's come in, he's shown us all it. And anyway, he left training and gone out. Following day, he comes in, goes, oh, fucking hell, lads. He said, you never know what happened last night. I said, what? He said, I went over the water. He said, and I floored it. He said, I'm doing 190 mile an hour down there in 56. He says, and the next minute he said, this blue light just come from nowhere. He said it was coming on the slip road. He said, and I knew it wasn't going to fucking catch me. He said, so I floored it again. He said, and I'm doing, over 200 miles an hour down the road. He said, as I'm doing it, he said, this blue light's just getting further and further and further away. Couldn't keep up. Probably like a little Astra, one of them on a Ford. Couldn't keep up with him.
The bill.
So he said, I've got down this end of the road. He said, and I've pulled over. He said, and I'm on the side, I'm off to the motorway. He said, fucking don't know how. He said, but this cop car has come behind me, flashing lights, same car. I said, fucking how's that? So anyway, he's gone out the car and he's gone there. The cop has looked at him and gone, hello, Mr. Gravesen. And he said, and he's gone there, all right, mate. And he's gone there, what do you call that on the motorway? And Tommy said, it's a new car, innit? He said, I just wanted to see like if it was fast. He said, what do you think you were doing? He said, I think I was like 85. Like that. And the cop was gone, fucking 185 more like. He said, I was doing 120. He said, and I couldn't keep up with you. And Tommy's gone, I don't know, I didn't even look. I just, went and he's gone, listen. He said, lucky for you, he says, I'm an Everton fan. He says, do me a favour. He said, speed kills. He says, either slow down or fucking get rid of the car. He said, because it's going to end in tears. So Tommy's gone, all right, mate. He said, do you want any tickets for Saturday? So anyway, he's got back in the car, come in the following day, telling us a story. And he's gone, oh, fucking hell. He says, not too sure whether this is right for me, this car. Following day, got rid of the Porsche Turbo, come in, Nissan Micra. I was going, Tommy, what the fuck? He's gone, that might kill me, that. He said, but this is a boss car, this. He said, it's a fucking 1 litre. He said, it's dead quick. He said, I can park it anywhere in Liverpool. He said, I can get in all little small spaces now. He said, so this is fucking sound. And Tommy would go from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
He was like that.
That's prison, by the way, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're going to prison, aren't you?
Yeah.
Off the pitch like that, on the pitch like that. And he used to have a thing every morning or every other morning. He used to come in and he would always be in the treatment room, like having a laugh and joke. And his little trait was, if anyone was on the treatment table, whether it was like a young lad who were getting treated first so they could get out, he'd go up behind them, turn them over and pretend to shag them on the table like that. And he'd be like, come on, you want it, you fucking want it, come on. And like, you know, like nowadays, you wouldn't be able to walk in the movies, would you? And Tommy's like, and the kids, like the young lads were shitting themselves thinking, what the fuck's going on here? And Tommy's not behind him going, come on, you want to fucking come on. And he used to do it, and he used to get the physios the same, he used to do it all the time. And like, with some of them, the more that they tried to wrestle it and fight it more, the worse it got. And so that was what he was like. You know, obviously we found out later on that he was dating a porn star and crazy lad. But yeah, great lad. Really, real good lad.
Brilliant, man.
Top man, mate. Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks for your time.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. Sorry you kept so much of the time I got to as well.